Dear viewer, welcome to this program, Personal Problem Solving and Decision Making. My name is Jime Nyende. I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Today, I have a very important question for you. A question you may not have been asked in any examinations you have done in school. That question is, what is your worth? And there are some associated questions that come with it. How has your worth changed since your birth? And how will your worth change in the coming days, weeks, months, or years? And why will it change anyway? Well, your worth is dependent or is determined by the decisions you make. That is why we are looking at this topic, what is your worth? It is a wide topic, and we will begin from the basics. I want to remind you, in the previous video, we looked at a number of issues, but one of the things I want to bring out was the paraphrasing of Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 18. And that paraphrasing says, when you are too lazy to decide your worth, it will leak and your life will become worthless. That is a situation I wouldn't like you to experience. That's why this program is available. Decision making is one of the activities you do on a daily basis, like breathing, walking, speaking, and so on and so forth. And I want to point out that on the major issues of life, which major issues of life? I have identified 5 of them: your personal vision, your personal mission, your character, your competencies, and the people you choose to serve. Your decision in these areas is extremely important and unavoidable. If you find it difficult to make important decisions, that's normal. What is not normal is for you not to take action. If you want to learn decision making, devote time to study the Bible diligently. Why of all books do I recommend the Bible to you? The reason is one: every decision you are going to make in your life is already recorded in the Bible. Therefore, you can know the outcome of the decision you are going to make ahead of time. Well, let us focus on today's lessons. You will learn the Bible definition for the 2 components of your worth. We will keep these definitions as simple as possible. As we go deeper into the Bible, they will become more complex. You also learn how these 2 components of your worth are related to each other, and how the decisions you make reflect your worth, or how your worth affects your decision making. And then you will have 2 verses, a suggestion. This is a suggestion, 2 verses that you will think about in the course of the week. Now we go to our lessons, but we will begin with a simple question. Why in the world do you need to know your worth? I have a simple discussion. The first one is, your worth reflects your fundamental personal decisions. Remember, decision making is a daily activity. So the fundamental decisions you have made about your life are closely linked to your worth. I want to remind you that your fundamental decisions are those you have made about your vision, your mission, your character, your competencies, and the people you serve. Sit down critically and look at your vision, your mission, your character, your competencies, and the people you are serving. You are doing so because of the decisions you have made. Now, you made those decisions basing on your worth. If you want to change any of these fundamental decisions, you're also going to change your worth. Closely related to the fundamental decisions is how you treat your life in general and how you approach personal problems. I am sure you have personal problems. But the way you deal with your personal problems is linked to your fundamental decisions. And remember that your fundamental decisions are linked to your worth. That is why it is important for you to know your worth. There is also another reason expressed by a gentleman called Malcolm X. Malcolm X says we cannot think of being acceptable to others until we have first proven acceptable to ourselves. Think about those words as we go through this program. Now, what are the two components of your worth? As I told you, we are using very simple definitions. Your worth is composed of two things. The first one is self-worth, and the second one is net worth. Now, what is self-worth? This is the value you place on yourself. The key word here is self-worth. Now, you do not have to get this value by comparing it with other people or comparing yourself with other selves. Self-worth, the value is your own. It is you, this you, but as defined by the word self, that determines that value. Well, the word determine may bring up different thoughts in your mind. Perhaps the best word should have been choice. But as I said, we are beginning very simply. We will get into details as we go on. The definition of net worth is quite different from the one you'll find in the area of accounting. But similar. Net worth is the value of your works. Now, the context of these two definitions is the Bible. I have not quoted any verses to support these definitions, but as we continue along the way, we will get these verses. What is the relationship between net worth and self-worth? Some people think net worth determines self-worth. I prefer the words of Mark Victor Hansen. He says, when your self-worth goes up, your net worth goes up with it. In other words, your self-worth determines your net worth. We will, as I said, get deeper into this. Now, let us look at a very interesting concept. How is your worth, which is made up of self-worth and net worth, influencing the way you make decisions? Well, if you want to make good decisions, the value you place upon yourself must be the highest possible. This is the bottom line. Decision making becomes easier and better when you have a high self-worth. When your self-worth is close to zero, the chances are high that you will wallow in indecision. You will remain in the valley of indecision most of your time. In my previous videos, I discussed the problems related to indecision. I wouldn't like you to remain in that valley. Therefore, whenever you are going to make a major decision, take some time to first reflect on your self-worth. I want to encourage you to keep an eye on your self-worth the way brokers keep an eye on stock markets. Watch it very, very closely. If it is going down, if your self-worth is going down, you must do something to keep it high. Remember, you can only make good decisions when it is at its highest possible. We will look at examples of what this means in later videos. For today, we are focusing on the concepts and then a few other ideas. Now, the Bible has a lot to tell us on the subject of self-worth and net worth. In this short video, it is impossible for me to discuss everything. I strongly encourage you to open its pages and start studying about self-worth and net worth in the lives of other individuals as you reflect on your own life. I want to make an important announcement. Building self-worth and the net worth associated with your self-worth takes a lot of time and effort. Building self-worth is not a one-day event. It requires you to invest a significant amount of resources. When I talk about resources, I'm not meaning money, but your precious time and energy. You have to work to build within yourself a high self-worth. No one else is going to do this work for you. And because it is such an important piece of work, the earlier you begin, the better. Now, you best do this kind of work when you are armed with knowledge and understanding. Once again, I repeat, the Bible is the best textbook on building your worth. That is the self-worth and your net worth. And the Bible has a word that is very interesting. That word is nothing. This word has a special meaning as far as our worth is concerned. We are going to encounter it in several scriptures or verses that talk about worth. I want you to bear this word in mind. The definition I am giving to this word at the moment, which definition will change as we go, nothing is the lowest value you can have as far as worth, both self-worth and net worth, is concerned. What does it mean in real life to be nothing? Well, there are some synonyms. Non-existent, to be empty, to be useless, to be of no value, to be worthless, to be a nobody, to be inferior, and so on and so forth. None of these words should apply to you. But if you linger in the valley of indecision, you will remain nothing. Your worth will be nothing. What are the indicators of having nothing in your life? I'm going to read for you 3 verses from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I am using the Amplified Bible. Verse 1 says, "If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love for others, growing out of God's love for me, then I have become only a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal, just an annoying distraction. Verse 2. And if I have the gift of prophecy and speak a new message from God to the people, and understand all mysteries, and possess all knowledge, and if I have all sufficient faith so that I can remove mountains, but do not have love reaching out to others, I am nothing. And verse 3, if I give all my possessions to feed the poor, and if I surrender my body to be burned, but do not have love, it does me no good. Did you note the word nothing? In verse 2, verse 1 and verse 3 are also speaking about nothing, but from a different perspective. So, your self-worth is nothing when you do not have love as defined by the Bible. I want to repeat. Your worth is nothing when you do not have love as defined by the Bible. Do not go to the dictionary to look for the definition of love. Go to the Bible. If the kind of love you have is not, I repeat, if the kind of love you have is not the same as the way the Bible defines it, especially in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, then your self-worth is nothing. The good news is you can start on building your self-worth now. The key is simple. Make a decision to learn how to love. And the teacher you have to approach is God Himself. I have now given you the major objectives we set out to cover in this short video. I now want to leave you with 2 verses. The first one is Proverbs 15:17. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fatted calf with hatred. As you go about your work during the next 7 days, think of having dinner with someone where love is. Romans 13:10, love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. I request you to think about these 2 verses as you go on. In my next video, I want to give examples in life that we draw from the Bible on how your self-worth influences your decisions on gratitude. Gratitude is something very important in life. Once again, I thank you so much for listening and tuning into this YouTube channel. I encourage you to subscribe. My name is Jime Nyende. Until we meet again, may God bless you abundantly.